Great news for humankind. Spain finally has progressed into the far and distant utopia by passing a new transgender law which breaks grounds on LGBTQ, and let's not forget the plus, and their rights. A new national law for real and effective equality for trans people. In other words, a bigoted law, because we do not fight for equality anymore, we fight for equity. It came into force in Spain on March the 2nd, allowing a person to change their gender identity in the civil register without undergoing a 2-year hormonal treatment or obtaining a medical diagnosis of gender dysphoria, as required by the horrible, bigoted previous legislation. Euronews reported that Vilé Goriat and David Rafael Lobina traveled to Madrid to hear the testimonies of those who are affected by the new law. So in other words, you can go to the city hall, I assume, and you say, I identify as a woman. And the city hall representative goes by the power anointed in me by the Spanish state. I here give you an ID card to prove that you are indeed a woman. Now, if they did this in Eastern Europe, it would have severe negative consequences, because this law fails to account for the people who lie for nefarious purposes. Because in Spain, most people are honorable, good citizens, and they would never lie. But here, for example, in Romania, women can retire earlier than men. So if that was the case, I am ashamed to admit that I myself would go to the city hall and immediately identify as a woman so that I get an early retirement. If the government, like in Germany, were to say, we are going to help rainbow families, this was one of the proposals that the Green Party in Germany had. And, like, they wanted to give an incentive. When the government wants more, it gives incentives. When the government wants less, it taxes. So the German government wanted more rainbow families, I assume. So they wanted to give an incentive. Of course, I would become transgender overnight. Like, if I hear that the government was to give me free shit, I would be like, okay. I would go to my wife and I would say, darling, you're a lesbian now. I'm not even joking. Like, do you see me smile? Do you think I'm making fun of this? No. I would explain to my woman, look, this is important. We get to make money just by going to the city hall. Nothing changes, darling. I will not take hormones. I will not do any operation. No. I will take money from the government because it is there. I do not make the patch notes. I play by the meta. So you would have like companies that are under observation. Oh, gender pay gap. Well, all of a sudden, you'd see a lot of men just identifying as women, gender pay gap fixed. In fact, you may see some companies which are now underpaying men because, like, there's too many women that get paid more. Right? This is what would happen if this law passed in Eastern Europe, because there are a lot of disingenuous individuals here, like myself. But in Spain, everyone is, I guess, like law, moral abiding. I assume even the criminals are. Right? So, like, a criminal who wouldn't want to be placed in a male penitentiary and would want to be placed in a women penitentiary would identify as a woman before committing the crime, right? But in Spain, they do not do that. Or if you are to try to escape the draft, right? Like, let's say the Russians are coming in. Men have to be called under arms. Women do not. I would immediately identify, like, I'm not fighting any Russians. Leave me alone. This would be a beautiful law. I wish that they would have it here in Romania. It's very progressive, but maybe one day. Maybe one day. So apparently they have testimonies from an Ezekiel. Ezekiel gender transition, which is not a decision that should be taken lightly. Hold on. Ezekiel is a 23-year-old sports coach whose dream is to become a firefighter. But behind his athletic figure lies years of inner struggle. You see, Ezekiel was born a woman. He started his physical transformation after years of feeling like he didn't belong in his own skin. I looked at the mirror and thought to myself that I couldn't take it anymore. I need to talk to people about it. To recognize for who I was and that I had to start my transition to feel comfortable without myself. Ezekiel started hormone therapy 2.5 years ago and underwent a mastectomy. It's a big change. It's like jumping into the void, hoping there is some water below. Ezekiel told Euronews it is a very difficult process. It is not a decision you take lightly. I understand this, and I guess this is Mr. Ezekiel, right? Thanks to the new law, Ezekiel is glad that he will be officially recognized as a man. But see, this is what I do not understand, Euronews. In the previous law, he would also be recognized as a man, because the previous law stated that you either need a medical diagnosis of gender dysphoria or you needed to take hormone therapy, both of which Ezekiel seems to have done. So why didn't you get someone that identifies as the opposite gender but is upset that the current law doesn't recognize them? I love how they don't even put much thought into this, right? Like, when they're pushing this legislation, it's almost like they don't even care. Like, again, this is a person that up until now was not discriminated. Like, the government allowed them to transition in Spain, right? Under the previous legislation. And yet, this person was brought to try to sympathize the lawmaker and the public, the general public, over their plight, which didn't really exist in Spain because they could not just transition very well. We followed Ezekiel to Madrid Civil Register Office. See, I told you, it is City Hall. Where he submitted his gender change request. He will have a new identity card in 3 months. I'm happier than ever, he exclaimed. This will make a lot of things easier. I won't have to give all sorts of explanations when applying for a job, for instance. It would also help me with my courses to become a fireman. My diploma will be consistent with my gender. Yes, no, I feel happy for Mr. Ezekiel, but like again, under the previous legislation, there was like, why didn't he get the ID up until now? Like he is not one of those people that didn't fit for the registry. At 16, people can work, have sexual relations, abort. They should also be able to choose their gender. Yeah, but like the difference is, some would say, that at 16 you can work, but you can also quit. You can have sexual relations, but you can also stop. You can have an abortion, but you can get pregnant again. However, if you decide to do something irreversible to your body at the age of 16, you may regret it a little bit later. This is what the naysayers would say. I just have to include the bigoted thoughts into this video so you can understand the counter-argument. But of course, you know, the problem is society, not gender identity. Yes, I fully agree. Every single time something goes wrong, it is society to blame. There are poor people, society. Who? Can you name it? No, society. It's almost like it's not the politicians, it's not the political party, it's not a particular legislation. No, society. See, this is why I'm not a millionaire right now. Society. Like, my dream and aspiration was to work at Google. But I can't. Why? Society. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.